There is tena a debate hapa. Yes, we are dealing with single parents. I have my personal theories about how to deal with the outbreak of baby mamas and baby daddies. I have my theories. I'm like, Maze, we need to advocate for people to be very careful about who you decide to have children with. That's as in that needs to be out there, like civic education proper. But then there is criticism of the man who shows up and takes up a lady na children wenye hawajakuwa wake, like biologically. Of course, forget the ones who are raising other people's children, wa team Mafisi, thinking they are yours. There is a science to that too, I believe. Why is this man attacked?
I don't think he's being attacked, but I think men who have done that, a number of them don't have very good outcomes.
Especially, I've heard that when it's boys sana, because when they learn boxing, they will always remember you are not their father. As in, iyo nimesikia. But for that's actually a thing. When you inherit kids, girls are always the best, because of course watagrow, girls hawananga drama mob kama boys. Is that why they have bad outcomes?
No, I think the reasons are many, but if you look at, for example, the situation of that we have now, which is of co-parenting, you have a number of cases where a single man, for example, he finds a single mother who has maybe 2 kids or 3 kids, and she tells him, you know, we already have kids, why don't we just raise these kids? We don't need to add other children. And they probably stay together for 10 or even 15 years. But you'll find most of the times the reason women break up from men or their baby daddies, it's guys who fail to level up. So maybe the guy is a drunk, or he's not able to make himself productive. But this guy, along the way, he figures things out, and you find he's able to actually rise up to the burden of performance. So 15 years later, he's probably a guy with a good job, he's a CEO. He looks for his wife and tells her, by the way, I want my kids. You can continue with the other gentleman, I want my kids. A number of cases, this lady looks at this guy, the new man, and she decides, by the way, this was a mistake, let's just continue. Let these kids have both parents. And then the stepdad is left there with having wasted maybe 10 or 15 years with this lady. And those cases are very, very many. So that is a thing. And then also now with co-parenting, particularly in urban centers like ours, the lady and even the man, they have some sort of familiarity already. So you find that the stepdad is now part of a love triangle, or even the stepmother if it's a lady. And that actually is a bit of a challenge. Every time there is an issue, maybe on this other side, the lady is able to cross over to the baby daddy and so on.
Retweeting. Okay. So what's the advice to someone who is about to step into that arrangement? You step in as an outsider?
So I think it's about, because now the information is there, by the way. There's that book, you can Google on the internet, there are many stepdaddies who share their experiences online. Everyone has to make their decision. I don't think that you can advise somebody. And then also there's also the situation where, you know, there are many paths to being a single mother. Maybe you're a widow. Maybe you actually were married to someone who was very abusive, which justifies that. Okay. But you also have situations where, and now this is not what's increasing single mothers, ladies feel that they can do better. And now they quit their marriages for frivolous reasons, just because they feel that they have a great access to other men.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically the best interaction with your stepchildren, they are not your children, you're just friends.
No. Actually, that is one of the challenges. Once you're a stepfather, you're supposed to take up the responsibility. If they're going to school, you pay school fees and so on. But the challenge normally is when these kids start misbehaving and you want to discipline them, then you're told, hey, not my child. Okay. So we call it responsibility without authority. And that is now actually that's the definition of slavery. So it comes with that, where you're supposed to take care of these kids, but you're not able to have authority over them. Okay. You're becoming like a slave.
So if you can have that in advance, like before, like a prenup, like we can get, but I can beat your children if, as in.
No, it's just an indication about the priorities and your place in that union.
Okay. Yeah. Sawa, asante. Jerry, you've done some very good work kwa mambo ya gender-based violence, right? What's your advice kwa people who still stick in relationship where they're experiencing violence, and how do they arrive at a decision ya whether it's wise to leave or stay?
First of all, on average, it is said by gender studies that before somebody actually makes a decision to leave, and I'm going to talk on parts of women, it will take about 9 times. Ametoka, amerudi, ametoka, amerudi, before they actually make the final decision. I know, because you go, you rescue somebody, they've been really, really beaten on. Mpaka you're like, this one will never go back. We had a case where a woman, her hip bone had been broken, and her ribs, and we stayed in Kenyatta for 6 months, and she came to the safe house. She stayed with us, went through psychological counseling. It took 1 call, and she limped her way back to the husband. And we understand, because leaving a marriage is I'm hearing here somebody's talking about leaving a marriage is very for frivolous reasons, and I'm really shocked, because the women I talk to, they don't want to leave their marriages. You are trying to convince them, this man will kill you. And we've had cases where these men have actually killed them. We're looking at, this year alone, over 83 women have died in marriages. Sad. That's a lot of women. But you talk to these people on the phone, unamwambia, please, I'm begging you, next time he will kill you. They don't want to leave. But my advice is, before things escalate to the point where you're killing each other, don't stay because society expects a woman to stay in a marriage, because that's an expectation, that women should stay in marriages. Don't stay. If it is violent, please leave, for your own safety and for the safety of your kids. Please leave. Okay.
Sawa. Sad, our hearts and Nini goes out to, as in we feel for the people who have been victims of gender-based violence. Now, your statistic, 9 times.
9 times. I should know. I was one.
As in before the decision, like 9 times.
Like before the final decision, yes. They will. First, as I say, there's expectations from society. There's a way society views marriage. And so most women will stay, because they are always wondering, what will people say?
That's a very weird way to measure strength, bana. Kiwatch wrestling, hata The Rock alikuwa anafinywa mara 3, anainua mkono. Nasikia mtu anaenda mara 9. That's sad. Now, one of the things, remember, Jacob Aliet is an author. Hii kitabu nimeisoma, very good vibes. Check it out. Unaweza itafuta in a bookshop near you. Ama ni Nuria peke yake?
Nuria.
Endo isome. One of the things I loved about this book ni explanation ya how men and women relate on the men's side. Of course, there are things then umesema, kila mtu atajidecide what they think about that, but I was very interested in how people treat each other kwa relationship. Your story ya people's obsession with kuangalia simu ya your partner, not advisable.
Not advisable.
Wachana nayo. Ka freelance.
I don't think the opposite is freelance, but just there is no point. It's a waste of time. There is no return on investment. Especially as a man, I think you can do more productive things with your life.
And you also say you should never care whether your partner decides to leave or stays.
You are, of course, you should be concerned, because you can become the men who fail paternity tests, or you can get a disease and so on. But it should not be now what is driving you, or that it's something that you're obsessing about. It's something, actually, right now, it's something to accept as something that can actually happen to you.
The challenge is what you're saying.
Yes, the challenge is men who think they'll never be left, and when they are left, they become violent, they kill the women, or they commit suicide. So what I'm telling guys is that, times have changed. If you have a wife she's educated, she's empowered, basically, and she feels she can exercise her options, that is an outcome that you should be able to entertain as a possibility.
That unaweza achwa.
Yeah.
Like you should live your life on, the relationship is on.
Not necessarily, but it depends on what you do. Because again, which I say, women are very practical. Women are very practical, and they don't entertain a lot of illusions. I'm sure of course we have cases of like the one she's talking about, where there's probably some trauma or there's some psychological abuse. But a woman who is well grounded, she's going to be able to weigh her options and make a decision. So if you are a man who is lacking in life, then there's a good chance you'll actually be left.
So what you're saying is, marriages should be one leg in and one leg out. That's what you're saying, really.
No, it
You're
is
saying
not.
ukange ukiwa, you shouldn't really be, you should be committed but not so committed. You should love but not so much. You should want those but not so much, because you know this woman is going to leave you.
In fact, after talking of love, you said love has, and I posted these 2 things actually from this book. One, love has nothing to do with the success of a marriage. I believe hiyo inaweza enda kwa hii point anasema. Maybe unaweza explain to just na one paragraph why love has nothing to do with the success of a marriage.
Yeah, the reason I say that is that if you can Google the statistics of arranged marriages, they actually last longer than marriages that are based on love. Like
but most marriages are arranged. Maze kuna msupa fulani mimi kuanga naye. Most marriages zinakuanga za kuintroduce kwa mtu.
Yeah, I think you understand what I mean, because now that is where it's arranged either by families or by parents, where you're told you're going to marry so and so. Those kinds of marriages, they tend to last longer than marriages that are based on love, which have this unrealistic expectation of happiness that places the burden on the other person to make you happy and to entertain you and always keep you in that state of happiness. So it is not about whether one leg should be in and one leg should be out. It is about looking at the trends and the statistics today, what is happening. And particularly as men, because men are very idealistic, where a man, if he believes that you love him, when he finds out that you don't love him, these are the men who go crazy. So what I'm trying to tell guys is that a woman can love you, but she's also very practical. So that if you're going not to be able to take up your responsibilities and perform your role as a man, then that is an outcome that you should prepare for.
Should be prepared to be left. Amejibu hiyo story ya one leg in, one leg out.
No, actually he's just reiterated what I said. All he has said is that men should enter marriages knowing that they are going to be left. So
you can be left. So you are going to be left.
Yeah. He says you can be left. So either way,
and you
however you want to put it, you can be left. That
but
is, there is no commitment there.
Isn't it true?
And
by
the
statistics?
Same is true. Especially when you look at the number of single mothers out there. You are lied to and you get a baby and you're still left. So
do you know, by the way, from this argument, I don't believe there is something like single mothers except in the case of death. I'll explain. You actually said in your own words that these women had children with someone. I think we should actually change it to neglected mothers, not single mothers, because the father is somewhere. Kwani the father does not count.
I actually like that.
The father is somewhere.
Yes.
Ama when it comes to when the man leaves, the child becomes the mother's.
That's how we are doing things right now, which is not putting any accountability on the men that leave these children. However, back to what he said. We are not putting any accountability. And even now, based on what Jacob is saying, he's saying that you should enter into a union, knowing that anytime you can be left.
Sawa sawa. And final thing, I think there's also another group of men that we are leaving behind. Men who are not necessarily deadbeat dads, but men who are, say, standing up against exploitation. In this sense, right? You have a child, sindio? Why can't you be given the child to take care of the child under your own terms, rather than the woman having the child under terms that you cannot be able to solve?
Now, let me say this. First of all, there are so many ways of accessing your child and making sure that you're a present parent. One of them is quick and easy access that now the children court has given you. That's one. Two, there's a reason why primarily children are given to the mothers. Where become a baba and you want to be present, you have so many options.
Tubaki hapo kwa equality.
Yeah.
Primarily children are given to the mothers, but tubaki hapo kwa equality,
before
equal
you even
parents.
go very far, me am a firm believer that men can raise children if they want to. I'm a very firm believer that men should be given children to raise, and not go and burden those children on another woman to raise. They should raise their own children. Say mtoto wako raise.
Thank you. So
yes.
It's hii mambo ya ati children are primarily given to women. It should also be part of the conversation.
Yeah, but the
as
conversation
a man,
should be: are these men willing and are they responsible enough to take
I'm
care of these children?
speaking for the ones who are willing, but cannot get access.
Patia mtu mtoto wale.
Pigieni hii point makofi.
Patia mtu.
Sawa sawa. Asante sana. I believe kuna vitu mob sana tungeongelea. Kuna kitu tumesahau? Is it balanced enough? Well researched facts? alikuwa concerned sana about will we have well researched facts. By the way maze, msikuwe too personal, you don't own anyone, msikuwe too personal over other people, right? You don't own anybody. Ukiwa kwa relationship, but that's a very sensitive statement.
No, but it's true.
Kusema kuna mtu wa mtu.
No, that is a bad statement.
You know, actually,
but you don't own somebody is a very good
that is
statement.
why people commit suicide and kill each other, because of those false beliefs. The title of that book is To Embrace Cold Hard Truths. Because we all grow up thinking that now when you marry that person, they're yours. But when they leave you, this is why you find men killing women. So it's better not to have those false beliefs so that we stop even this gender-based violence. A lot of it is about possession, where someone has abandonment issues from childhood, and now they feel their life is also abandoning them, and that sort of transference. They feel the same way they felt when their parents abandoned them. So men need to grow up knowing that this thing is a reality today, and you need to be able to actually deal with it without harming anybody, or without feeling that now your life is over because somebody has left you.
Asante. Cheers to kuachwa, ladies and gentlemen. Makofi ya Jacob Aliet na Njeri Omega. Practice to handle kuachwa properly. Handle it, sitasema like a man kwa sababu that will start another conversation. Na Njeri, handle it like a mature human being. Sindio? That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.